Almost every country in the world is in debt. The United States alone has passed $38 trillion in debt, the highest level in its history. The European Union carries around $14 trillion. Japan is approaching $9 trillion. Even oil-rich countries like Saudi Arabia or export powerhouses like Germany and China are deeply in debt. So the obvious question is, if everyone owes so much, who is the creditor? This is where things start to get strange. Debt is usually presented as a burden, something dangerous, something to avoid. But in the modern world, debt isn't just a burden. It's the system itself. Wars, crises, booms, collapses, all of them are built on layers of invisible promises called debt. And if you follow those promises long enough, you reach an uncomfortable conclusion. The world isn't really in debt to someone else, it's in debt to itself. That doesn't mean everyone benefits equally. Today, global debt exceeds $315 trillion, nearly 3 times the size of the entire world economy. How did we get here? To understand that, we have to go back far before credit cards or digital payments. Ironically, national debt wasn't born in peace, it was born in war. In 1694, England was at war with France and running out of gold. The king turned to merchants and made a deal. Finance the crown now, and I'll pay you steady interest from future taxes. To manage this system, the Bank of England was created. This changed everything. For the first time, a government could spend money it didn't yet have. In return, lenders received something incredibly valuable, a promise from the state, one that could be bought and sold. That promise became the government bond. France copied it. The Netherlands refined it. The newly independent United States used it to fund its revolution and its expansion westward. National debt stopped being a sign of failure and became a sign of credibility. Fast forward 3 centuries, and debt has become the dominant force of the global economy. Every country borrows, every bank lends, every citizen is, in one way or another, both a debtor and a creditor. So who really holds the other end of the rope? Let's start with the United States. Most of its $38 trillion in debt isn't owed to foreign countries. It's owed to itself, to banks, pension funds, insurance companies, and its own central bank. Foreign holders matter, but far less than people think. America's debt is largely owned by America. And this circular structure exists everywhere. Japan lends to the US. The US lends to Europe through international institutions. Europe lends to developing nations. Those nations then hold reserves in Western bonds. It's a global game of hot potato, except the potato is made of promises. But there's another layer that's even more powerful: the markets, pension funds, hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, central banks, institutions managing tens of trillions of dollars. They decide who gets cheap credit and who pays a premium just to survive. When they lose confidence, currencies collapse, governments fall, and entire economies can unravel overnight. Democracy decides who governs, markets decide who survives. And here's the core truth: there is no such thing as debt-free money. Every dollar in circulation represents a liability somewhere else. This system has survived for decades on trust. Trust that governments won't necessarily repay their debt, but that they'll always roll it over. Because modern debt was never designed to be paid off, it was designed to be passed on. Governments don't plan to eliminate their debt, they refinance it. Old bonds are replaced with new ones. Interest becomes the real product, the price paid for stability. The global economy now depends on this cycle. Ending it would mean destroying the system's most trusted asset. That's why calls to pay off the national debt sound responsible, but miss the point. If government debt disappeared, the world would lose its safest financial foundation. But this system has a cost. Interest payments don't flow evenly through society. Money moves upward from workers and taxpayers to institutions and asset holders. As debt grows, inequality grows with it. In the end, creditors aren't villains and debtors aren't victims. They're two sides of the same engine. The real question is what happens when new debt can no longer keep up with old promises. That's when the question, who is the creditor, stops being abstract and becomes personal, because there's no single villain at the top of the structure, not China, not Wall Street, not international institutions. It's all of them, and it's us. Debt has been transformed into money itself. Governments issue it, banks multiply it, investors trade it, citizens depend on it. Debt once meant bondage. Today it's sold as balance, but if that balance breaks, the illusion fades, and we're reminded what debt really is, a promise that must be kept.
Bu tarz içeriklerin devamı için abone olup bildirimleri açmayı unutmayın.